I want to sort of hone in on the project you did in New South Wales.
Yes.
So let's say someone watching this has no idea. They've seen a couple of ads on Instagram where there's concrete building the walls, and that's the extent of their understanding.
Yeah, 100%.
So again, a couple of questions. How did you come to get involved? And what were some of the things that surprised you, and some of the things you learnt that are different to the norm?
100%. So great question again. So essentially, I'm a bit of a relationships person, you know. I love the chat. I love getting to know people, and I sort of pride myself on having the same person to everyone.
Yeah.
So I can get along with people pretty easily. And the thing was, I knew the builder pre-existing to that project. He was a contact of mine that we'd done work together in the past, and we'd recently done some work at one of his own developments. He had a duplex that he was building. He said, "Hey, Nate," he has a very high opinion of our quality, which in my opinion rightfully so, but at the same time we'd earned that. So we'd worked together in the past. We didn't just walk in off the street. And then we basically went to do a project for him. He was discussing with me, I'm designing this at the moment with the clients. No one's done one before. We're writing the codes. We're figuring out all the problems. They've been working on this for over a year on the theory side, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. And then there's that much testing that's gone into it in a factory. It's not like we just rocked up and they're putting dingo bags into a concrete mixer and hoping it goes well. Like there's so much science behind it. Pretty much they were looking at trying to find a carpentry contractor that's multi-skilled and can take on any aspect of a job. And they needed someone that was willing to challenge themselves and do a project where there was not necessarily any set parameter of this is what you do here, this is what you do next, this is the next process, call this person, you find out the step. You had to troubleshoot, design and get things engineered to suit that build that hadn't been done before. So that was where I was like, mate, we can build anything you want, no problem, I'd love to be involved. And then we did the pricing, we had some chats, talked to the clients, and then bang, happy days, we all got together and it all worked out. And essentially we were contracted to do the subfloor scope of the first floor. So the ground floor, to provide a bit of clarity I suppose, is essentially similar to a double skin cavity brick wall. So you have an external layer, a cavity, and then an internal layer. Very similar to masonry. There's no wall framing or anything like that. It's just skin, cavity, skin. And that cavity can get bigger and smaller with the contours of the wall. It's subject to whatever you input into the machine. They then insulate all of those cavity areas, run their services, etc. for the ground floor, do cutouts, everything similar process to standard, and then we build on top. So we basically plate the top of that, all to engineer specs, and then the floor system for the upstairs. Then it becomes much of a conventional building. So there is obviously limitations again to the current technology. So height, like these builds are 4 meters high for a ground floor. Bloody tall. That's like ridge height for some houses. And they were doing that for a ground floor wall. So these buildings ended up, I think, being 8.5 meters high to the ridge, step level site, very difficult access, but they made it work. And to do it when no one's done it on such a difficult site on a main road in Woollams in the Shire, pretty crazy, pretty impressive. So we basically started there at the same time that they were printing, and it was incredible to see. Like you see it like on the internet or whatever in Europe. It's done a lot in Europe, in the States a bit. It's taken off a bit more. There's companies doing it internationally, but the quality, in my opinion, is far better here because they've put so much work into the science of it all. And look, at the end of the day, I think too that we came into that project pretty open-minded, knowing that it would be difficult and challenges and all the rest of it. And then we went from there, did another system of, they call them, there's many names for them, like precast panels or SIP panels, or in this case it was a VersiClad wall system, which is another innovation where you're going to have either double OSB, a 90mm foam, like styrofoam core, and then an FC internal sheet that's all pre-cut, pre-manufactured off-site. So you have all your walls with the window openings, door headers, everything already done. Rocks up, and then you put your plates in according to your setup like you would any frame. Then the walls will just click it together. Like, it was the most innovative build ever. And it's incredible to see. There's a lot of custom home guys out there And if anyone wants to know, you'll have to message me about it, because offhand it's just too much. But there's a lot of custom home guys out there in Australia now that are doing like precast panels of, SIP with OSB and OSB. They're taking a lot of inspiration from the US and from Europe, because in all honesty, they build a lot better than we do. Air tightness, performance rating, moisture, water ingress through window openings and penetrations. There's so much room to improve what we do here. And it's not to say that we're doing it intentionally. It's just, no one is perfect. Building is not perfect. And I'm always hungry to improve. And I think that's the best mindset you can take to it, is just improve your practices within your business. Don't necessarily worry about what everyone else is doing. Don't get in the price race. Don't, cut costs, and understand your numbers, do your pricing, really get a good software behind you, which we'll talk about later. Do a good software system where you can purely understand what makes the lights turn on for your company, and then you're pricing with confidence, not guessing, not hoping. You understand, if I'm going to do job A, it's going to take me X amount of hours for X amount of guys, my cost is Y. I know exactly if I'm going forwards or backwards. Straight away, you're in control. You can negotiate that value of that job. And it's difficult for people who are younger and earlier into the industry to understand that if you're going to lose on a contract or lose on a job, it's better not to do that job, because you're going to go backwards anyway. And people say, but I need work. And I go, yeah, but you're not making any money. You're going backwards. So if I said to you, do you want to come work for me today for 12 hours and you pay me?
Yeah, it wouldn't be too.
You go, I'm confused. What's the question? You go, I don't understand. Makes no sense. But people are blatantly and unknowingly doing exactly that, and it's just a lack of education. And look, and maybe a little bit of everyone wants to be their own boss. Everyone thinks it's lovely and sunshine and rainbows. But the truth is that if you spend 1, 2, 3 years going backwards, it's very pointless to do it. So I think there's a lot around that side of the education where we can work on our own industry first before we worry about what everyone else is doing or what other innovations are coming. So, but yeah, that project realistically is something that I think is going to be the future of some aspects of building, not every, but some. And there needs to be education around the carpentry side of it 100%, because for instance they've done another project where it was a 3D printed house and it was a conventional truss roof, and the printer's not going to put the truss roof up, you know what I mean? So we're not necessarily closing the door. There's still going to be internal works, there's still going to be gyprocking, there's still going to be landscaping, concrete driveways, etc. done. There's still work to be done. Trades that fixate on where they're not getting work, instead of worrying about, okay, well, where can I get work? Or what are my avenues of leads? Or what do I want to specialise in? What am I good at? What are my rates? I think fix your own sort of business, and then everything else will happen. Because at the end of the day, it's going to come whether we want it to or not. We may as well just be supportive of the fact that they're trying to solve a problem that is within our industry, and hopefully it will lead to more houses going up, more building, more development, which is better for every other trade and all of us to benefit from in the end, realistically. So that's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah